Well, as we move on, we've all got a tale to share and lessons to impart on the generations to come. Now in the digital era, everyday people are telling their life stories on film to preserve their legacy.
Love this. So-called legacy films are mini documentaries letting everyday people share the moments that made them who they are.
My mother was the illegitimate child of a geisha in Kyoto. Now, I think my parents fell in love, but there was no way they were going to get married because they would have been star-crossed lovers. And so my parents got my mother pregnant so that they would have to get married. And so she was 5 months pregnant when they got married.
Founder of Big Stories, Little Films, Danika Armytage joins us now. Hi, Danika. What a beautiful idea.
Thank you, yeah.
So, is it just everyday people telling their story so that the family has that story for years to come? What inspired you to start this story?
Yeah, everyone should tell their story and everyone does have a story to share. I'm actually a TV producer and director, and years ago I had a camera sitting at home and my granny was in town, and I took time to interview her and really find out about her life story. It was when she passed away 6 years later that we revisited that footage. I shared it with my family, and it was then that I realised how valuable this footage is. It was priceless to all of us, and through that footage, my children have met their great-grandmother, who they never would have otherwise met.
Oh.
I could not love this anymore. It's such a beautiful idea. What's the process for capturing someone's whole life story on film?
Yeah, the process is we have a conversation about who you are and what your story is. So every film is unique and different. So we take time to really say, do you want to talk about your family ancestry? Or do you want to talk about how much you love your grandchildren or what you achieved in your life? So we do a lot of work in advance to make sure that the film you end up with is something that your family is going to treasure, because these films are for you and they're whatever you want them to be.
So they haven't got to have lived a huge life full of adventure and they conquered the Wild West. It can be as simple as, this is what I want you to know about me. Wow. Yes?
Absolutely, you're right. I think some people, they say, oh, I don't have a crazy CV. Maybe my story is not that interesting. But these films are created for the people who love you. And that's really what's so important. So everyone should really make one at some point, particularly retirement age.
Now, with a background in producing, you'd be listening to some of these stories going, this is actually a real TV show. Like, there's some real good... What are some of the good stories, the great stories you've heard?
Well, they're all good. And I know that might sound like not true, but every single person has a beautiful story. They're just different, right? It's just finding what makes that person tick. But I've had great experiences. I've been out to regional farms and I've been to properties with 7 generations of farming families on the one property, and they've told me from 1830 to today, and everyone who's lived on that farm. So that was just incredible.
Amazing.
I've interviewed, you know, people who've been in love for 60 years, and also people who've been raised in war zones. And they've had incredible hurdles and hardships, and their families are incredibly proud of what their ancestors have done. So these films are a way of making sure that those stories aren't lost, and too often they are.
Yeah. We're going to share a little piece of one of your films. This one features your own dad, Livingston.
Yeah.
So the first lesson is you have boundless potential. And I'm looking you in the eye, my children, my grandchildren, and my great-grandchildren, because I deeply believe this. You can do anything that you're serious about.
Oh, you know who that's going to be? That's the grandchildren and the great-grandchildren, the great-great-grandchildren. Taking your producer hat off for a moment.
Yeah.
What does it mean having a film like this for you and your family, the next generation?
It's the best thing I've ever made. I've worked in TV for 20 years and that's my favourite piece of footage. My dad passed that on, and I know that will be something that my children and their children watch. And if you were to roll out that footage, you'd hear me sobbing, actually seconds later, because I just knew these are the words that are going to be with me and be with my children as a legacy, and it means so much.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing. I think it's just such a beautiful idea, and nice to do it through a third party sometimes, because I'm sure families tell strangers things that they may not tell their own family. So it's a gorgeous idea.
I would love to share one opportunity. We are doing nominations for a free film at the moment on our website, so please go to Big Stories Little Films for a free film.
Okay,
Nice.
Big Stories, Big Stories Little Films.
.com.au.
Beautiful.
Good to see you. Thank you so
Thank you.
much. All right.